Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast that, like the Cardinals, needs gimmicks to keep your attention. Your host is Nate Heininger, and he's joined, as always, by his co-host, Vince Marca.
Hey, how's it going?
Incredible.
If you have an idea for the opening bit, text or leave us a voicemail at 848-48-BIRDS. And thank you to friend of the show, listener, and current guest, Daniel Shoptaw at C70. Thank you for that opening bit. You legitimately tricked Ben, which is, I think, what we were looking for the most out of this.
Wait,
thing.
you were
so
in on
you.
that? You knew that was going to happen?
Yes. Wow. I mean,
I quit.
Do you think... You think I just like completely set him up and left and was completely silent for no reason?
Sometimes you just kind of shut down. Yeah, you're it's like your brain's rebooting or something.
That's true, but you also know one of my personal goals is to not have to do any of this on the show anymore. And so this was
that
like
is true.
This was the best it's been yet.
And see, I've done the intro, I've done the game, which I will do again this time around. I have done the mid-show ad pitch. I mean, when Nate falls off the end of the world somewhere on one of these trips, I'm ready. I mean, Ben and I can do it.
I think
move this
honestly, the ideal version of this show is, I think, just a Daniel Shoptaw solo show.
No, that's never a good thing. Never a good thing at all.
But it's good to have you back. It has been a little while, and let's make sure we do a plug up top too. We will be on your show this Friday. So we're super excited about that. We're doing a little 1-2 punch here to start the season, which right now we're recording. This is Tab After Dark, folks. We are recording, and there is a MLB baseball game happening right now. The Yankees are currently smoking the Giants.
Brought to you by Netflix.
Brought to you by Netflix. Speaking of which, also, I hope everyone's got all their bets in. Has everyone been doing their sports betting?
There's two gentlemen right behind home plate with huge Kulshi shirts on, doing some grill advertising. So I rememred to put my bets in before the game
Daniel,
started.
did you do all of your
every bet that I was going to bet, I have put in.
That's great.
Right.
Great. We're all contractually obliged. At this point, we've all done all of our bets, and we hope everyone listening has done all of their betting. You can't not bet.
I mean,
that'd be crazy.
What kind of society would we be?
Yeah, of course. Daniel, how's your off season been?
It's been good. It has been fast too, and I know y'all have talked about it a lot on the show, but the fact that we had something significant happening every month at least really kind of moved that thing along, right? And we were like, we didn't sit around all winter wondering if they're going to sign a guy that might make the 40-man. It was an active winter, and it gave us a lot of things to talk about, and so it's fun. It's just a kind of surprising that here we are, just hours away from Clydesdales and convertibles.
Yeah, Clydesdales and convertibles. You're right. That is what a picture you're painting of Cardinal opening day. I went last year. I went 2 years ago. I'm not going to make it this year, but I think a bunch of our listeners will be there. It's always a good time, and I think it's going to be actually quite hot in St. Louis tomorrow. So maybe the ball will fly a little bit too.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good, nice, positive way to look at it. Jordan Walker home run incoming.
Yeah. Hey, we got one good game out of Jordan Walker in spring, so I'm back on board. I don't know about you guys.
It's all it takes.
I'm all in on it. Yeah. But yeah, I think looking back already on this offseason, we may never have, at least not in the foreseeable future. And frankly, hopefully we don't have another offseason like this jam-packed with activity, because the only way you're doing it like this is another teardown. So hopefully we're not in anything like that again. But compared to the last few off seasons, and I think all of our general agreement with the moves and the direction that the team was going, like, it was a very, very fun off season. You know, I think we all liked the moves, understood them, and think that they are putting the Cardinals in a better position. So altogether, one of the more fun off seasons, despite that it was actually like each piece was like, we're going to be less good next year. We're going to be less good next year. But it is what it is.
And like y'all, and I know y'all talked about it on every trade, it was also losing guys that we liked, right? I mean, it was the trades made sense. We understood them. They were good from a baseball sense. But this team was, we enjoyed watching Sonny Gray. We enjoyed watching Wilson Contreras throw high chews out everybody. And
you ever had one?
I have not. I
you
meant to get
one. Chew?
No, I meant to get one after y'all's last, taste testing. I have not actually gotten to that. I will have to put that on my list.
Are you going to Blogger Day this year?
I should be there, yes. So I guess we will.
Well, I chew you up, yeah.
No, I am now concerned. And and Nolan Arenado's been a favorite of mine for a long time, even when he was out there in Ben's backyard. So, to see those guys go was tough. But we also saw the Cardinals pick a lane, and that's exciting. Even though we're going to sit here and wonder if they're going to win 70 games or anything like that, they're still on that path of turning into the next good Cardinal team, the next great Cardinal team, hopefully. And, at least we know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've said it a ton, like, we don't know how these moves will work out. We could end up being like the Nationals, who people felt like, oh, there's some pretty good moves, like the Juan Soto trade and some of these other ones. It's like they're building a little dynasty over there. And then here we are 4 years after that, and they're shipping all those guys off to completely redo the rebuild. That is a possibility. I personally have more faith in this organization and the moves that have been made in the direction that it's going than that. But there's a reality that we just don't know. Baseball's hard, and even these really good prospects could fail. But feeling good about it.
The fact that before they did all that, they invested in the staff and the training and expanded the coaching and all that. So it really, like, if this doesn't work out, it's everybody's gone, right? You fire everybody and fully start again. But I feel like they did the boring stuff before they did the more flashy stuff. And now we just need to exercise a little bit of patience. Honestly, the more we're getting closer to baseball starting, which I guess baseball started the day this episode has come out, the more I'm like, I think 2027, as much baseball as we're going to be able to watch, I think the Cardinals are going to start to be competitive pretty quickly. I'm feeling very optimistic about not this year, but next year.
Well, this is the optimistic time of the year for basically every team, right?
Everybody's 500 today, Nate.
Yeah. But to your point, like, I think what we can say we know about the new organization is that they are good at putting together a plan and executing it. We understood what they were going for, and every player acquisition, you could see how that fit into the plan.
They can explain the plan, and I can understand it.
What we don't know is, can they turn these prospects into MLB players? Because the Cardinals of the past were also not terrible at acquiring good prospects. We can go back the last 10 years and name a whole bunch of good Cardinal prospects, Jordan Walker being one of them. But where it constantly failed was that transition from high minors or mid-high minors to MLB level. Like, we've done it a ton of times on this show. Can you name, like, the last great transition, like, Cardinal prospect that became a star? And it's hard. And then if you narrow it to starting pitching, it's like Carlos Martinez for a year, Jack Flaherty and for half of 2019, it just, like, completely collapses. So we know a lot about the strengths of this organization, but the really important part, we're not really going to know until later in this year. And to your point, Ben, that will be the defining factor of whether they are competitive in 2027. Because I think what you're saying is right. Like there's enough at the high minors that like if they click, this team should be pretty good, especially if you believe them when they say the DeWitts will open the DeWallet again when it makes sense.
They have reiterated that a couple of times now, which, you know, I'm always ready to have my heart broken. You know, I'd rather have loved and lost than never loved at all, but they keep saying it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to believe them.
Yeah. The DeWitts are not Bob Nutting or any of those type of players that are owners that are only focused on the bottom line. Now, are they looking at their bottom line? Sure. Yes. I'm not going to argue that, but they have run consistently high payrolls, right? They have run payrolls way, in the top half of baseball, and occasionally would get, start nudging around that top 10 range. They didn't always spend the money the wisest. Brett Cecil comes to mind, but they did spend. And so I think this is an ownership that wants to win, that has been in baseball for a long time, that this is not just a guy that made a whole lot of money somewhere and then came in to buy a team because he thought it was cool. I mean,
he's got that beef money.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you've got that kind of money, you can do whatever you want. But I mean, we talked about it, I think recently that, Bill DeWitt's Jr. was the bat boy for the Browns, and his jersey was used for Eddie Goodell. I mean, he's been in baseball his entire life, and he's 80 something years old. So they have this tie to the game that a lot of owners don't. And I do think they will spend. And again, it'll be just whether they do it well.
Yeah. We obviously on this show love to shit all over every owner. And I think justifiably so. I won't walk any of it back. But when you compare them all to each other, I do think it's fair to say that the DeWitts are in the higher tier of owners compared to the other ones in the group.
Right. And, like with the Chaim Bloom of it all, I think like when Chaim Bloom first came over, something that we talked about was like the idea of, does this mean that the DeWitts want the Cardinals to be the Rays or whatever the hell the Red Sox were doing for the Chaim Bloom years? And John Henry's kind of like going back and forth on that. And now with the DeWitts saying what they're saying, with the team communicating that they think it's going to be a 1-year step back and they want to be competitive as soon as possible, I'm thinking, well, maybe it wouldn't have made sense for Chaim Bloom to take another role where he was being asked to do the Rays thing in a non-Rays situation. Like maybe we can be optimistic. Maybe it's all going to work out and we're going to have a fun team to watch very, very soon.
Well, I think one of the key factors of how fun this team is and how good they're going to be soon.
Do it, Nate. Do it.
Going to be JJ Wetherholt. What Ben is clapping because I've just executed a tremendous segue
that
into
was shockingly good.
Shockingly being the key word there.
So the big news of the last few days, thank you. The big news, of course, of the last few days, it's been all but certain, frankly, since February. Like they basically said it back then that the intention was for JJ Wetherholt to break camp with the big league club, but it was not locked in until just yesterday or the day before, when the transaction was made and the news was broke that he will be the opening day second baseman and maybe even batting leadoff. We'll talk about that later, I think. But like, great spring, I don't know what more that you could ask from the guy, and I'm very, very excited. We've talked about him since he was drafted. So if you're looking for something to look for in 2026 and hopefully have fun with a team that may not be complete, I think, he's like number one with a bullet on what to watch for.
Has to be the fastest rising prospect probably since maybe Rick Ankiel, to be drafted and just, be in the major leagues in just over a year, is pretty impressive. And it's exciting. I mean, it's exciting to have that kind of talent. Now we know that we thought Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman were those kind of talents that kind of fell in the draft, and that hasn't clicked. But it feels like J.J. Wetherhold's a whole different beast, and I'm very interested to see how it works.
He's played less than 140 professional games. Obviously, he had a pretty nice collegiate career, and he hasn't hit a speed bump yet. He rocked a 154 WRC plus in 109 games across 2 levels last year. The defense was better than we expected it to be. I mean, there's just everything about it. There's also like the way that Ali Marmol and the club talk about his makeup and like his mental approach to the game and everything like that. It seems like even if this kid does have a rough time in his first month of pro ball or whatever it might be, they're not worried about that affecting him or getting into his head. And hopefully they don't do the Jordan Walker thing where they start prescribing swing changes at the big league level and expect him to completely change his game on the fly. So yeah, I feel very confident about this. I'm very excited that it happens. I think it is very telling. And this is kind of what Nate was getting at with his amazing transition into this topic was like a team that is just focused on the bottom line and extending just focused on the financial aspect of controlling players would not be calling J.J. Wetherholt up at this time. I also think it probably speaks to a certain level of confidence that Heim and the Bloomin' Goons think that he could legitimately win a Rookie of the Year and therefore earn them a pick by starting him up there early. So, yeah, it's for many, many reasons, it's very exciting.
Yeah, when you think about the last prospects that have shot up through the system, we named a couple of them, Walker and Gorman. It was all about upside. You know, it's toolsy, it's raw, but we think the upside is there. Let's do it. JJ's the other side of that. We think he's a big league player right now. What the actual ceiling will be, we don't know, but he's going to come in and probably be one of the most consistent at bats on the team out of day one. Like his plate approach, we saw it in spring. What did he rock? Like a 450 OBP. He struck out less than he walked. You know, he's shown that skill at basically every level, and that's generally one of the skills that translates first. Now, of course, he has not seen the spin or the velo that you see at MLB level, so it might take still some time for him to really showcase that skill. But he's coming in at such a higher level of success than any of those other guys had. It's why he is where he is on prospect lists. It's why he is a favorite for Rookie of the Year and things like that. So should be a lot of fun. And like I said, sounds like he might be leading off, which is kind of crazy, but why not? I guess let's have him open the first at bat of 2026. JJ Wetherholt. Why not? I guess.
So do you go Wetherholt, Wynn, Burley, Yvonne? Right?
Probably.
Or maybe swap. No, you'd probably want maybe makes sense to swap Yvonne and Mason, but you don't want Mason as your number 4 hitter, so that doesn't make a ton of sense.
I mean, there was an article, and we saw it some in spring, that there was an article that they might have Mason Wynn be your cleanup guy in certain situations. And so, I mean, yeah, that doesn't seem ideal, but then when you look at the rest of the lineup, okay.
Well, if a team completely devoid of power, if no one's hitting home runs, and you at least want the guy who has the best chance to, you know, hit one in the gap or doink one, you know, in between the what do we call those? Where it's in between our dumb little. It doesn't matter. There's a old timey baseball slang for like a Baltimore chop or whatever.
The Baltimore chop was off the
home
plate.
Yeah,
you
but
idiot. Speaking of,
sorry.
Speaking of no power, Daniel, what are your expectations for Nolan Gorman going into 2026? I was pretty much ready to throw him overboard. Spring training stats don't matter, but the fact that we saw Nolan Gorman actually be successful in a professional environment made me feel pretty good. He ended spring training with a 934 OPS, 7 walks against 8 strikeouts. What are your expectations for him going into this year?
Well, I mean, I was like you, that I did not expect much of anything out of Nolan Gorman. And I'm still hesitant, obviously. I think we all are, just because of his background. It was interesting in the conference call we had with Ollie Marmol a couple of weeks ago, where he was talking about Nolan Gorman. They were slowing his bat down so he could make contact, and then the idea would be to speed it back up after he got adjusted to that kind of thing. And it looks like, those are the kind of things that we're seeing, those kind of results, right? He didn't just go out there and hit a ton of home runs, but you're right, he wasn't striking out as much. He was doing better. I'm cautiously optimistic. If he makes a turn like we think he can, then 2027 becomes really a lot more likely. Assuming that the Cardinals don't then flip him in the offseason thinking it's a flash in the pan.
Well, and control is either way. Yeah. It's an interesting question, because let's say Nolan Gorman does break out for real in 2027 or 2026. And I think to me, what breakout for real means is that he's doing competitive at bats consistently every single time. Because that's always been the thing with him. He at times looks like the best hitter in baseball, and has actually had weeks or two at the major league level where he was the best hitter for this week or this 2-week period or whatever. But then it just completely falls off, and he's one of the worst, right? Carries a 40% strikeout rate or whatever. So let's imagine he actually maintains a good strikeout rate for the whole season and truly breaks out. I think he's a free agent at the end of 2027.
That seems about right. Yeah.
Maybe it's 28. So
free agent 2029. He's got.
Is that right? Okay.
He's at 3.114 years of service time, ARB eligible in 2027. According to Fangraphs.
I was wrong there. I thought he only had 2 years at the most. 3 years does change it a little bit. You could still perceive him as part of your the core of like a good run, 27, 28, 29. But it does, to your point, C70, they still might just be like, all right, we still don't see him as a future piece, but now we actually have trade value.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it'd be a very interesting decision to make. If they buy into it, that's a time to do an extension, for 2 or 3 years and buy out maybe a year of free agency.
Speaking of interesting decisions,
let's bump. Man, y'all are putting a masterclass on tonight. I'm gonna have to take notes.
Tab After Dark, baby. Nathan Church looks like he is going to be a starter, and Nelson Velázquez was sent down to AAA. Did not make the club, even though I think we spent about over the last few episodes a couple of hours talking about
we've spent conservatively 33 hours in the last month talking about how much he's going to make the big league club.
How much he's going to make the big league club and how much it kind of doesn't matter. And then the Cardinals do so. And I think this is us just really getting used to this new front office, because I think Mo and Co are in charge. Nelson Velázquez, he's the talk of the town. He's starting for sure. But we find out yesterday or today, like I said, Church is going to be up at the big leagues, probably starting in left field. Velázquez is down. C70, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that move.
Well, I wrote about it at the Substack. I guess it went out this morning.
Good natural plug.
Yeah,
this is a great episode. I can just feel it.
Everybody, you guys, can we just stop for a minute? Because you're killing it tonight. This is good.
We should record this.
We should record that. We should start a podcast. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it was very surprising to see Velázquez not make it, but it also makes a sense when you start thinking about what this club's going to do. Now, I will say, I also thought that meant that they thought Nootbaar was going to be back a little bit sooner, and then they put Nootbaar on the 60-day DL today, so that's not a case. But, again, we've talk. Spring stats don't matter. And, Velázquez has made some adjustments, much like Joshua Baez has made adjustments last year and looked good in spring. But, he's a guy that also, if you bring him up, you can't do anything but cut him. He has no options. He has no anything like that. And so I kind of get it, and besides, I feel like Heim said, look, I can't get rid of Jose Fermin because Ben's going to kill me. And so I have to keep Fermin, and there's really no other choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, it was funny because I think we were both assuming he was going to make the big league club and also pouring water on it a little bit at the same time last week for the same reason. Ben, I know you kept going back to 39 plate appearances or whatever. And it is an interesting revelation because I do think probably a lot of teams, he makes the club after that hot spring. That's kind of how baseball has traditionally gone. If you're there at spring and you rake and you hit a lot of bombs and you're at that age, teams will be like, why not? Let's give it a shot, which is what we all thought was going to happen. And clearly wasn't part of the plan. And I guess the assumption is if he keeps doing that at AAA or wherever they sent him, then we'll call him up and give him a real shot. But March 26th is not the time when we actually want to see Nathan Church and we want to see Victor Scott and we want to see Jordan Walker. So we're not going to derail that plan because of 39 great plate appearances or whatever it ended up being.
And I think C70 is on to, I think that they're listening to this podcast because the fact that they are agreeing with the general idea that it makes more sense to super utility Fermin and Saggese, and be flexible and let those guys become effective infield, outfield, whatevers, and be a right-handed bat. I just think it makes a lot more sense. I do agree that if Nelson Velázquez goes down and for 30 or 60 or however many days continues to rake, I think you can argue to bring him up, especially with this news about Nootbaar going on to the 60-day IL. I think that kind of throws his timetable completely in the air. We have no idea when Lars Nootbaar is coming up at this point.
Haglund will get you.
So stupid.
No, we're killing it right now, Hambo.
Oh,
please.
I'm sorry.
Give me this.
The show's
please.
good. The show is good.
Please give me this. I need this.
Another interesting, not a good transition, but another interesting note is that the Cardinals are bringing 3 catchers to the big leagues. Obviously, Ivan Herrera, it seems like he is not going to be catching anytime soon with his knee inflammation issues. Joel Pozo is going to be riding the bench. And what I find interesting is that his status, at least on Fangraphs, has been updated to catcher/first baseman. And then, of course, Pedro Paje is likely the starting catcher. So I guess I get Joel Pozo. I think this is almost entirely a personality hire at this point. I don't really get it other than he's got good vibes. He can hit sort of in a very confusing way that isn't ultimately super productive. But I don't know what to think. This is maybe the only move that I find a little. I think it was telegraphed. I'm not surprised by it. I'm not sure I agree with it.
I hit in the same way, confusing and not productive. So we are Pozo Bozos here. So let's make sure we
First
show.
off, I love Joel Pozo, no matter what.
Let's make sure we put respect on the name. Yeah, it almost feels like they're just well, we've got so many other things rolling right now. Let's just have Pajes catch and Pozo backing him up, and we'll just roll with that for a little while we let Ivan heal and we really figure out where he's going to be long term, and we let Crooks and Bernal cook and the minors, and we'll get to the long term catcher solution as we more understanding evolves.
But if you're going to have a catcher/first baseman, why are you not putting Ivan Herrera? Why are you not having him take ground balls at first base and getting him trained up on that when it's trending in the direction that it's trending in?
I don't know.
Well, first base is incredibly hard, as we all know. And I think, and again, this is all rationalization, but I would say it's also, you want Ivan Herrera to hit. and you don't want him thinking about a whole lot of other things. And he's already going to be spending a lot of time improving his catching. So then to add another thing onto it might be just a little bit more. Plus, again, it is a situation where Pozo is one of the better bats on the bench. I don't know. I mean, who else do you bring up in that? I mean, Fermin, if he's not sitting there, okay.
I would bring up Urias, Fermin, and Saggese over Pozo.
Maybe. We haven't seen enough of Urias to know, though. I mean,
That's
I think that, historically, yes.
Also, we've got new and improved jacked Pozo. This is a different Pozo than we've had in years past.
Which may wind up turning everybody against him because he needs to be a thick Pozo.
It certainly helps.
Yeah.
His brand being, his last name being Pozo and him being kind of a big dude certainly is a combo that you enjoy aesthetically, So ripped Pozo, I don't know if I'm going to be as into it, but it might help the plate approach.
Right. I agree with Ben, though. It is, the fact that he got one of the, what is it? It's not the Darryl Kyle Award, I don't think, but it might have been. He might have gotten that one. But one of those, great teammate awards that he was on from the Cardinals last year after just being there for, half of, 75% of the year. I do think there is something about clubhouse chemistry there. Plus, his bat's presentable and he's easy enough to move if you have to. He's on he's got that minor league split contract, so you can send him down. And so, let him be there as your backup to Páez. And once Herrera looks like he could catch on a more regular basis, then you make the decision.
And I'm fine with that. And I do think there is some sense to having the personality higher, especially in a year like this. This is probably going to be pretty difficult, especially for some of the younger guys. But if he takes one at bat out of the hands of Jimmy Crooks or Leo Bernal, then we've done a disservice. We've made a mistake. But maybe you're right. Maybe they will jettison him when it makes sense.
It's a long
or maybe
season.
Pedro Páez explodes in the first week of baseball, and we need Joel Pozo. Who knows?
Well, and if Páez explodes, then that's when you get a Crooks or Bernal, probably Crooks,
Right.
because you don't want those guys sitting in backing up, Herrera or Páez or both. You want them starting. So I think that's why you're seeing them both switch at first base, or at least Bernal's getting time at first base at Memphis as well, so they can both stay in the lineup.
Yeah.
If Páez explodes, that's going to be quite a mess to clean up. That's a big boy. It's funny you said explodes, because I thought you meant that's often a term of someone doing very
I mean
well.
Somebody accidentally fed him a cake with a stick of dynamite.
A stick of dynamite. Yeah, that's I picked it up as we were talking, and then I started thinking that would be quite a mess too. I just hope I don't.
I think if he blows up, that's what you're thinking.
That's my problem. Yeah. I was also thinking, are the jerseys as see-through this year? Remember that whole thing last year?
Was that last year or was that 2 years ago?
Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They fixed the pants, Nate. You gotta come on.
Bring them back. Bring back. If we're gonna watch bad baseball, at least
All right.
Get a little bit of a show.
Okay.
Somewhere out there, Kyle Reese just perked up.
We just talked about Fermin and Saggese both making the club out of spring. Is there anything else that we should say about those guys? Obviously, I am very excited to see Jose Fermin. I'm hoping get a few hundred major league plate appearances and to see what he can do with them. I'm very curious to see how they're going to use him. But it's a very right-handed bench right now. So you have to imagine that a lot of these guys are going to come in, sub, get guys off their feet, pinch hit, all that kind of stuff.
I'm hoping we have a very active, we're moving the line. Everyone's getting in the game. Everyone's getting a chance. We need to get answers on so many of these guys. And I don't know how you do that other than playing them all. Obviously, the flip side to that is we really want Gorman to get 600 plate appearances so we have a true answer for him. But there's a lot of these guys, these fringier guys that I just need to see 300. Saggese, I just need to see him get half a season's plate appearances, and we'll have such a better understanding.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised with Saggese just because I thought they might start him in Memphis. because he didn't get a whole lot of spring training with playing with Team Italy.
Mamma mia.
Yeah, obviously. But
so on and so forth, of course.
Yeah, I mean, as you do. But, again, I think it's going to be very interesting to see, how they use it. You're right. I mean, because trying to even, okay, if he gets 300 and Fermin gets 300, well, that's a whole player. And how does that all manage with everybody else? So, I mean, injuries are going to play a part into this, obviously.
Right. What I was just going to say, someone's going to get hurt. The adage is these things take care of themselves. And it is true. There was almost always playing time.
It is sitting where we are right now, though. I'll be very curious, the situations, because when you have Urias, Fermin, and Saggese on the bench, when do you put in Saggese over Fermin, or when are you pulling those levers? Is it just like a timeshare thing? Are these guys are they going to be viewed as specialty or as specialized in certain roles? Is it just going to be about at bats? I'm very curious because it's 3 very similar and not crazy exciting profiles. But
yeah, it's like you feel like one of these guys is going to come out of this as like, if we're imagining the 2027 Cardinals are competing, you're really looking for like the one super utility guy. And we've got a bunch of guys that are competing for that right now. Yeah. And it feels like it's almost a tryout, like go and play wherever, play whenever, and try to look good in the box. And whoever does the best at that will likely stick around for 27 and likely won't be. And the other ones won't be.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I think it's probably, especially in the early going, it's going to be kind of an idea of, okay, like this week, Saggese's going to play all week, or in these situations and stuff like that. And next week it's Fermin or whatever the case may be. It's not going to be matchups as much as just we're going to script this out and these guys are going to play no matter what the situation is.
Yeah. Maybe one of them gets hot even. Wouldn't that be a thing?
Well, that's the hope, right? I mean, we all think the ceiling on these guys isn't like astronomical, but there is a hope that like Saggese, there's been times where it's like this guy could be pretty good, could be a doubles machine who gives you pretty good defense all over the field, and that you need players of all sorts to have a successful team. So like, there is a world where one of these guys breaks out and actually becomes a key part of the team, even if it is in a super utility role.
I've said it 1,000 times. Fermin has been very good at AAA 2 years in a row. Maybe he can carry a 130 WRC plus in the big leagues for 6 months. Who knows?
Well, and Thomas Saggese was MVP of the Texas League. And if you're MVP of the Texas League, I don't see if there's any reason you can't be MVP of the National League as well. I mean,
if you can hit in Texas, you can hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that season was crazy, right? He hit like 350 on the whole year. He was really good and started to show up on like national prospect lists and things like that.
Yeah.
And then has kind of dwindled ever since. But yeah, I mean, there is some upside there. And like Ben keeps saying, Jose Fermin is basically the next Albert Pujols, and we just haven't, let him out of the garage yet.
For Pujols light, I'm willing to say that.
Yeah.
So we talked about Lars Nootbaar going on the 60-day IL. We also learned that Hunter Dobbins, who the Cardinals acquired from the Red Sox earlier this year, is going to the 15-day DL. Still recovering from that ACL. I don't think very surprising there. It's kind of it's a little disappointing to me that Dobbins and Fitz are both not affecting the big league club coming out of spring training, but I think it does make sense along with the lines of all these other guys getting at bats. It's the same thing with innings. Like you probably should see what happens with Palante, definitely with Leahy and McGreevy. So it makes sense, but I do find it a little just, I need my instant gratification. I need to acquire Richard Fitz and put him into the big leagues to watch Richard Fitz.
Yeah. Yeah. I up until just a few weeks ago, I was pretty certain that Fitz and Dobbins would be in the opening day rotation. It's like you went and got these guys. They certainly seem better than half of the current rotation. They both have upside in their own right. Like, I was excited about both of their acquisitions. Of course, they're in the starting rotation. Now, Dobbins, it's an injury. It is what it is. He might actually have been in the rotation if he was healthy. And Fitz, we talked about a couple episodes ago. So I totally get the decision making here, but it is a little bit disappointing. But especially with Dobbins, like, all of these guys are going to spend probably at least one stint on the IL this season. So, he's starting the season on it. Bring him back, make sure it's like he's nice and healthy, and maybe that's it. Maybe he just only misses that and he's fine. We're going to be seeing, I think, a lot of starting pitchers this year at different times. So I'm not too worried about it right now, but it is a bummer that arguably two of the biggest acquisitions are just not on the opening day roster.
Of course, we thought we would see a lot of starting pitchers last year as well, and everybody stayed healthy. And
true.
Kind of wish we had, and of course, the pitchers that we thought we would see, like Quinn Matthews, did not produce at the minor league level that we thought they would. So,
right.
Yeah, you're not going to have another year where you get all the way till September before your first pitcher gets hurt. That's not likely to happen. But if the Cardinals are doing a pretty decent job of managing workload, there may be less of that, and it may be more of a production that pushes people out than injury.
Last year really was the worst of both worlds. It's like all of our starting pitchers who are ineffective remained healthy, and none of our young guys in the minors were pushing the conversation. So we just had to keep watching what we had to watch, other than Sonny Gray, which is always a treat. And man, he had a really good spring. I'm not rooting for the Red Sox coming into this year, but it would be a lot of fun to see him and Wilson have a nice little playoff run, because I really like watching Sonny Gray pitch.
As a Cardinal fan, like, how dare you even discuss rooting for the Red Sox? But I have to agree. Frankly, their team looks like a lot of fun, and we did our little prediction game. Well, I picked them to go to the World Series.
Yeah.
So I do like that team, and I think they did some interesting things. They just had, if you're not watching this kid, Connolly Early, I think he's going to be very good.
Yeah.
He just knocked Johan Oviedo out of the starting rotation. So I think they are going to be good, and Wilson Contreras is probably going to have a very good year for them there.
Speaking of Cardinals pitchers, that wasn't as good. We'll do it.
Not bad. It's okay.
No, Ben, it was
don't
good.
Give me that. I don't need that. Some pitching news. Matthew Liberatore has been named as the opening day starting pitcher. He'll be pitching probably around the time that you're listening to this episode. And the Cardinals finalized their pitching staff. The last few bullpen spots were filled by Chris Roycroft, is it George or Jorge Soriano? I don't know.
I think it's George.
George Soriano and Matt Pushhard have all been informed that they have made the team. I think the only one that I'm questioning or confused by is Roycroft, just because I feel like the Cardinals see something in him that I just don't see. But back to Libby, very excited for him. He might be the card, other than JJ, the Cardinal I am most excited to watch in 2026 is to see the step forward that I think Liberatore is going to make.
Yeah, I think it was the obvious choice for opening day starter, both from the pedigree and hype and all that, but also just out of options. I mean, who else do you pick there? Maybe Dustin May out of like, look at this guy, but outside of that, it's like it had to be Liberatore.
He is something to look at in the red and white uniform. He's
can you believe this guy? Look at this guy. That would have been like half the marketing campaign, I think. Can you believe this guy?
Wow.
Looking good in spring though. But I'm excited. We've talked about it a ton on this show. Like, pitching is hard, and it takes most pitchers years at the major league level to develop and really be good and not just treading water. It doesn't always feel that way when you look at some of the other teams around the league, but like most pitchers have spent a couple years in the league before they get good. And, Liberatore had an up and down season last year, but at times he was really, really good. So another year behind him, a complete runway to no competition for the rotation for him. Like, it's his if he performs. I don't know. I'm feeling pretty hyped as well. And like you said, if we're gonna be good in 2027, certainly feels like Liberatore has got to be a big part of that, because there's a lot of other pitchers coming, but they all have even more question marks and no time at the major league level. So Libby might end up being pretty core to this rotation, more than he already is.
Yeah. I don't know. For me right now, I think the bullpen is more interesting than the rotation. Because Kale had a good spring. I'm still not completely on board with that, but I also realize that he's making the arguments against look a little bit silly. Again, We'll wait till we get to the end of the season. But I just think bullpen usage is going to be very interesting this year because of the fact that you look at that bullpen and there's like, basically Chris Roycroft is your only guy that you can send down.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you have options on Riley O'Brien, you have options on Matt Swanson, but hopefully you're not even considering that because they're the way that they're pitching, right? I mean, if they pitch like they did last year, you're not considering it. Everybody else out there doesn't have that option, right? I mean, you can't, George Soriano has no options. Matt Pushard has to go back to the Marlins unless you work some sort of deal with him. You've got those kind of veterans of Stanek and such. So I'm just going to be very interested to see how the bullpen gets used when you don't necessarily have that, ability to churn the 2 or 3 or 4 guys from Memphis up and down like they have in the past.
It does. Yeah. Biggest concern for me going into 2026 is I don't see 161 games of innings in the bullpen. Like, where are all those innings coming from? And I think that's a great point, especially if we can't swap guys in and out, if we have to pull or make Roycroft pitch 3 innings in a game to pick up for a starter. I don't know. I think it's going to be complicated.
Palante's going to be a long man, and Leahy might end up being a long man as well, like he was last year.
Yeah.
It does seem like the decision is centered around, we got all these guys that we cannot option, so we start there. Probably some will stick, some won't. And Roycroft, whatever it is that they see in him, like, we'll start with him and we'll just start rotating. Stanek is around too. Like, there's other options. But you got to figure out if Soriano, who you went and traded for, Pushard, who is Rule 5, like, you got to get answers on these guys.
And I will say, to Roycroft's defense, again, back of that interview with Ollie, he was talking about how last year the game was too fast for him, that you could tell that he was just trying to do too much, too fast, all that. And they have worked with him, and he seems to have a little bit, that experience that he had last year is helping him realize that the game doesn't move quite as fast up there. And he had a good spring. So, again, take the spring stats for what they're worth, which is basically nothing. But I'm encouraged to see how, because there were times where he was really good last year.
Yeah.
And then there were times where he was not.
He's very tall. How about that?
Yeah, there is that. Does
that help? Argue that he is.
I mean, you've really nailed it right there, Nate.
He was the first guy who came into the room at the winter warm-up that I was in, and he was like 1.5 feet taller than every single other person. It's like, oh yeah, these guys are big. And he picked me up, put me in his pocket.
That was pretty nice for you, I'm sure.
It was cute. Yeah. You guys don't like this. You're not liking this. Like, we
can land the plane, Natey.
You're supposed to just come in and just take it over. Don't just leave me hanging.
All right, Nate, that's all I got. Unless, Daniel, you got anything you want to add to just getting ready for this? It's opening day. Anything else I missed?
No, I think that, again, we've gotten to the point where none of this stuff matters, but now we see what came out of it, and now everything going forward does matter. And so it's going to be a lot of fun to see what it is.
We did it. We're here. I couldn't be more excited. And we're going to talk about, we have our segment where we talk about the upcoming games is back. So we'll be doing that. We're going to be doing a little bit of league news. And then Daniel has a game for us.
Right.
But before we get to that, Daniel, would you please remind the listeners where they can find you if they want more C70 content in their life, which they should? What's their best place? Where's their best place to go?
Probably to their nearest psychiatrist to understand what this kind of weird thing is. Obviously, you follow me on Twitter at C70, and that's where most of the things are getting linked. Obviously, I'm also at Blue Sky. I try to put stuff up there as well. The Substack is cardinal70.substack.com. I mean, just search Cardinal70 or C70. You'll probably find me.
And we super recommend you do. And catch us there this Friday night as we, I'm not going to be there alone. The last 2 times Hambone has missed the episode, and it's been actually quite nice. It's just been me and Daniel, but Ben will be there.
We buried the hatchet last time when you were gone, and
That's true.
He was out of good guest host to come in, so he got me, and he said, "Let's do this." And so now I guess we're back on good terms, and we'll see both of you Friday night.
Yeah, how long that lasts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we also want to remind our listeners that our show is listener supported on Patreon, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. If you want to support the show directly, consider subscribing at patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. Patrons of any level get access to our private Discord server. You can catch C70's content straight there too. He posts it in there. So if you don't want to be on social media anymore, or you want to be in a more refined version of social media, think about joining. Refined maybe isn't the right word for it.
We have tea every week.
Hello, Buffy. Refined's not the right word for it, but more
less chaotic.
Yeah. Well, is that even the right word for it?
Yeah. Trust me, it's less chaotic.
Okay. Less bozos, but I mean, other than the bozos, of which the bird scored is full. Check it out, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. If you want to support the show in another way, leave us a review at your favorite podcast platform. That still really does help. And of course, tell your friends and tell your family you're watching games again. You're hanging out with your friends, you're watching games. Lean over, whisper in their ear. Yeah, talk. They're going to love it. Hambone, where else can people find us online?
Obviously through Whispers, but you can also find us on the Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok. You can watch this episode on YouTube if you'd like to do something like that. You can find all the podcast information, including T-shirts and more, at talkingaboutbirds.com. You can email us at talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. And of course, you can call us and leave a voicemail or send a text message to 848-48-BIRDS. That's 848-482-4737.
848-48-BIRDS. And of course, we have to shout out our newest patron, Charles C. Charles, thank you so much for your support and for joining the Patreon. We truly appreciate it.
Thanks, Charles.
All right. Well, we know it. The game is happening. I assume a lot of you listening right now are watching the game and have the audio paused and are listening to us instead. You are watching.
Audio paused or muted? It'd be weird if you just paused the. Yeah.
They're just staring. I assume many of you are just staring at a paused screen of the.
I gotta hear what they say first. Yeah,
maybe they know something about what's going to happen.
Don't watch the game that way. Please don't do that.
The Cardinals are playing the Rays, is what I'm trying to say.
There you go.
Yeah, we got 3 games: Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. The most anticlimactic thing about baseball. I get it. I understand why they do it this way, but having a game on Thursday and then nothing on Friday makes me a sad little boy. But I get it. It's fine. Hambone, what are you expecting out of these Rays?
Yeah, for so long the Rays were just good, and they were kind of like inexplicably good, and they were just always there. And And then Wander Franco happened. And it really shot the club in the foot as far as their future prospects. I think that they're a fine team, but they have a ton of question marks. I think a huge question mark for this team is the offensive wins that they had last year, specifically with Junior Caminero, who I do think is good, Jonathan Aranda, who I do think is good. Are their successes from last year going to translate into a real ballpark with a dome and all that? I wonder how that works out. Can Chandler Simpson hit the ball at all? A huge question mark. And then on the pitching side, is Shane McClanahan a guy anymore? Can they squeeze anything out of Nick Martinez and Steven Matz? I have no idea. This is a team that has like a 20-win window where they could be competing for the East, or they could be sitting around 70 wins. I have no idea what to expect from them.
Yeah, Caminero, I think he's probably going to be one of the best power hitters in baseball for the next 15 years. And I also think there's a chance he had the most home runs he's going to have in a single season in his career last year, because he will not play in a minor league ballpark again, probably. It just completely skews everything. It's like the Athletics over in their little ballpark right now. Like when they move to whatever they move to, it's going to change everything. So, but I do think, oh no, he's not going to hit 45 or 48 or whatever it was. He'll hit 37 or something like that. He's very, very good. So I'm not worried about it. But yeah, it's an interesting team. Yandy Diaz still kicking it. He had a great year last year. So like they have the pieces to be good. I don't know, Daniel, are you keeping your fingers on the pulse of the Tampa Bay Rays at all?
Not particularly. Mainly because I don't get too far out of the Cardinal circle, and then even when I do, the American League becomes lesser. But yeah, we know the tradition and history of the Rays, and we know that about the time you count them out, they're going to figure out something to, be good. I don't know. I did see McClanahan take a ball off his shin today at Busch Stadium, so that should be fun. He was throwing batting practice, and one came right back at him. But he's not listed to pitch this series, is he?
No, it looks like the Cardinals game 1 is going to be Matthew Liberatore versus Drew Rasmussen. What was that?
I said that was my setup.
Damn it! I stepped on it. Let's turn the show off. Michael McGreevy, game 2 against Joe Boyle. And then for game 3, it's going to be Dustin May versus Steven Matz, which that should be a lot of fun. Like, I would not be surprised if Matz, if he's healthy, has a crazy good year this year, just because.
Well, that's been the thing with Matz the entire time we had him too, where it's like, if he's healthy, he is good, and he's healthy on Sunday. At least sure seems that way. So he's probably going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
So how long does he go?
Yeah.
And the Rays are real quick with the hook.
Yeah. It's a weird team. Like, according to Roster Resource right now, Cedric Mullins is batting third for them. And I don't know if Cedric Mullins is batting third for any other team in baseball. Not even really sure why they have him doing that. But yeah, they're a weird team. I don't know what to expect. I think the Cardinals have a fighting chance in this series.
Yeah. It's a good team to open the season against. Like they are good, and it will be a challenge, or rather they have the capacity to be good. And it should be a challenge, but they also could be beat, you know? So, after that, kind of a different caliber, the Mets are coming to town. Supposed to be one of the best teams in baseball. So that might be a challenge. Soto, Lindor, the rest, they're all
Bo Bichette, Luis Robert Jr., Marcus Semien, Carson Benj is making the big league roster, which is exciting.
That's a big time lineup, Could be. Lindor broke his little finger though, so we'll see how he recovers from that.
Yeah. this is a good team, probably. I don't really know what to make of them. I think that we'll probably miss Nolan McLean, which just from a baseball watching standpoint, that's too bad. But yeah, I mean their rotation is probably really good. Their bullpen is probably okay, and they might have one of the best lineups in baseball. But like, I don't know. I could see Bo Bichette and Luis Robert Jr. and Marcus Semien all having terrible years. I could also see them having great years. I don't know what to expect from this team. They're like, for the amount of money that they spent and have spent and the roster turnover, I still feel like there's a lot of question marks.
This might be a team that it's good to play the first week of the season before they get a chance to try to figure out who they are. You know, the Cardinals played the Mets last year at a time where they were hot, and then they just fell off the face of the planet. You wish he'd played them later in the season. This may be an advantage for the Cardinals to be able to play a team that is still trying to figure out what they are, and, you know, maybe sneak away with a series win that way.
All right.
Possibly.
So got the Cardinals coming out of the first two series with a 4-2 record, I think. That makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Wait.
We're Cardinal fans, right?
Yeah. No, I do legitimately think that they have a fighting chance in both of these. That being said, the Mets could absolutely pummel our starting pitching. We'll see.
I'll say that's the flip side to getting them early is that they're all healthy, or at least they seem to be. Like Luis Robert, I think, is probably set up for an incredible year just getting out of the White Sox, but he's oft injured. So they certainly will most likely have him on Monday. I guess we don't know for sure.
Yeah, the rotation looks like it's going to be Leahy versus Clay Holmes, Andre Palante versus Kodai Senga, which feels like just a really bad mismatch. And then Libby's turn comes back around likely for Freddie Peralta, assuming that everything goes the way that we think it'll go that week.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're looking at 3-3, and that's an optimistic view. I think.
Hey, we'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? At the end of the day, though, aren't we just glad that there's baseball again?
Oh, beats being at the office. Am I right, guys?
I'll take a bottle in front of me instead of a frontal lobotomy.
That's funny.
Hambone, I guess let's get into some league news. What have you got for us?
The Cubbies and Pete Crow-Armstrong, Mr. PCA, agreed to an extension, 6-year extension covering the 2027 through 2033 seasons. It's a $115 million guarantee. My quick thought on this is the Cubbies are really, I think they're kind of going out on a limb here. I know that PCA had a good half of a year last year. I know that PCA is a very good defender, but they're throwing money at a guy who had half a season where he looked completely lost at the plate. I think the only thing that makes sense here is that you think that his floor is so high because of his defense that you're fine with taking that risk. And I'm not really even against taking that risk. He is a unbelievable defender in a premium position, and he is as fun to watch as they come.
Yeah, the flip side argument to that is that this has such a possibility of being a crazy deal for them. If you know,
I think it is more likely to not be a crazy deal for them than it is to be a crazy deal for them, for the Cubs.
If he's even somewhere in between what he did at the first half of the season and the second half, you're looking at a guy who's gonna, go 20-20 every year and be one of the best defensive center fielders in baseball. Like, I think that's what's the AAV on this? Like,
if he can
or whatever.
If he can stop swinging at everything, then I agree with you.
Right. Well, you're arguing that like the bottom is so low that it could end up
offensively.
Yeah, which is always the problem with the high strikeout guys, right? It's Nolan Gorman. Like, if you're not doing exactly what you need to do, you have no other offensive profile. It's just bad, and there's really nothing else about it. But he's also like 23, and he had a half season of absolutely incredible. So he probably will never have a half season as good as that again. Most guys never do, but I don't think he'll be as bad as he was in the second half. So even if he carried a 115 WRC plus 110, this contract has surplus value.
Last year, I had to look it up. He swung at almost 42% of pitches out of the zone.
Yeah. It's not good.
It's really not good.
You know what I do? I just don't swing.
That might be a better option for old PCA.
Yeah. You could you can narrative that big time though if you want, like, hey, he came out hot, he was crushing it, and then he started struggling, then he started reaching and like grasping for it and just completely lost his mechanics. And coming into 2026, he's a better player and he's figured out his problems and all that, we'll see. But I think that this will likely end up being, I'd be very surprised if this ends up being like an albatross. And with the way baseball,
I do think PCA can give you 2.5 WAR on defense alone every year for the next 10 years.
Yeah, but you don't want, like, you're not going to keep that as your center fielder for 10 years. Like, everybody's going to move on from that. But with the way baseball is going, in like 4 years, someone's probably going to get a 1-year, $118 million contract. So like this is probably going to end up looking pretty cheap overall.
Yeah, it could be me.
It could be you. Hey, it could be any of us.
Yeah,
it's not me.
It's probably not me. I think it's like almost certainly not me getting a Major League Baseball contract. I think you got to be able to see the ball in order to in order to get a deal.
Yeah. C70, any thoughts on PCA before we move on?
I mean, I don't like him. I don't know why, but he's a player that just really rubs me the wrong way.
Oh, I like him a lot actually. You can't put it into words. Why is it just?
I don't know. I mean,
he's
got a very
uniform.
It's got a very punchable face. There's no doubt about that. But and there is always a Cub that just drives you crazy.
Yeah.
Contreras was a little bit of that, although mainly because he always seemed to get the hits that mattered. I don't know. I really don't know what it is about PCA, but he just, when he couldn't count to 3 last year against the Cardinals, that was like one of the highlights of the season. So
we love that. Yeah, we super love that.
We're big on that.
Daniel, you said he's got a punchable face. You ever been in a fight?
I have not.
You have not?
So yeah. I try to avoid those things.
Same.
So.
I don't like. I got in like a tiny little thing with a friend basically back in like middle school, but it wasn't really a fight. Hambone, of course, has had his ass kicked 10, 15 times. But
just today.
Yeah. I mean, look at him.
Okay. Let's move on to other extension news. The Philly, I really like this move. The Phillies extend Cristopher Sánchez a 6-year contract, guarantees him $107 million through 2032. I got the AAV in front of me right here. It's $15.68 million per year. This guy almost won a Cy Young last year. Yeah, he seems to only be getting better. And the Phillies, they signed, they extended Jesus Lizard a couple of weeks ago. They're keeping Cristopher Sánchez. They are extending that window. They are paying pitchers. I love it. I think it's a great deal.
Yeah, totally agree. And he obviously exploded.
Blew
after he ate the dynamite cake in 2024.
Diet Coke and Mentos.
But I think it's worth calling out. He made his major league debut in 2021. Didn't pitch a ton. Pitched again in 2022. Didn't pitch a ton. Started ramping up in 2023. Started looking pretty good, and then in 2024 he became a very good pitcher, and now he's great. And I say all that to say, like, it's what we've been talking about with Liberatore and most pitchers. Like, it takes some time. It takes experience and reps and all that, and most guys don't just come into the league and crush. And so He has ascended more rapidly than Liberatore, but he's one of the best pitchers in baseball right now, and he wasn't for a couple years while he was in the league. So these things take time, and hopefully give some hope for some of the Cardinal guys who haven't put it together yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not the same, but I just think back to what Max Scherzer was with the Tigers and the Diamondbacks. Just always knew it was there. And I mean, if you go back farther, and we may be getting beyond y'all's time, but when Randy Johnson was with the the Expos and things, he could throw a lot of fastballs, but he couldn't get them in the zone.
Yeah,
it just took a while, and pitchers eventually, hopefully, click, and they're going to reach that level. I don't know that I don't know what Liberatore's top level is, but I think it's possible that he's going to start reaching it this year.
The guy right now that I think of for that is Mackenzie Gore. It's like everybody knows, man, when this guy's on, he strikes out the world, but he just can't put it together. And it's like, is he going to do it or not? We'll find out. But he's doing the Scherzer path to me.
He might be poised for a very nice year with the Rangers. I think him in that system that can actually develop people, hanging out with DeGrom. I don't know. I feel like it could be. Maybe it's this year. I hope it's this year. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of Wonderkins, there we go. Back on it. Kevin McGonigal makes the Tigers roster. One of the best prospects in the game, Nathan and Daniel. Looks like he is going to be their starting third baseman coming into the season. This is number 5 overall prospect in baseball. What I thought was most surprising about this is that this guy has 140 games. Almost all of them are below AA. Mm-hmm. And he came in and forced the Tigers, I guess, to make the decision just with how he looked in spring, the pedigree. By the way, last year, over low A, high A, and double A, he did manage a 182 WRC plus. Maybe they're just trying to find some competition that can slow him down. But this guy is very, very young, very, very baseball young. The Tigers are bringing him up in a competitive national or American League Central.
He had a tremendous rise last year. And they're not the same, but he has the same. It's a similar sort of approach as a JJ Wetherholt, where the assumption is that the floor is high enough that he's going to come up and not just completely embarrass himself. He's got a pretty good hit tool, pretty good eye. The question is, how much will the power develop? So in that way, it's very similar to JJ Wetherholt, but he did kind of come out of not nowhere, but he wasn't the same high-end pedigree that JJ Wetherholt was. He also crushed in the AFL. He's basically been crushing everything since the start of last year. It moves Javi Baez out to center field. But the Tigers are trying to compete, and they need help, hitting help, and he's one of the best in the minors, so why not call him up? I think it's fun. Sure.
Yeah, it's interesting to then compare that to Connor Griffin, who didn't make the roster, and there's not. I mean, it's not. Well, and then there's not the. I mean, he didn't have quite the background. He hasn't played above high A. I don't think has Griffin, or am I mistaken?
I don't know.
I want to say he doesn't have much, and it's not unheard of for that he could need a little bit more seasoning, especially since he had a great spring. But it's still interesting that a competitive team makes this call versus a team that's maybe competitive. I know y'all have talked about the Pirates, but we'll see, I guess.
Griffin did play at Double A last year.
We were doing the same thing.
Okay. Yeah.
21 games.
Yeah. And I think it's more like, I don't think anyone would have been surprised if the Tigers didn't call him up, and I actually think it's fine that the Pirates didn't call up Connor Griffin. It would have been fun. We all love a 20-year-old phenom at the major league level. But it's also, I think, super reasonable to say, hey, why don't you go rake at AA for more than 20 games? Maybe we'll actually get you into AAA. I think he's probably starting at AAA, and let's rake at AAA for 30 games before you call up to the major league. Like, it's what we all wish the Cardinals would have done with Jordan Walker. Right. So it's fun that McGonigal, which is also just a fun name. You also don't get a lot of dudes named Kevin right now, so that's kind of fun too.
Interesting.
But it's fun, but it isn't the norm, right? I think what the Pirates are doing with Connor Griffin is the norm. And we'll see how these things work out. But I think I'm kind of fine with either decision from both teams.
And final piece of news, we already mentioned him, but Carson Benj, another top prospect, has made the Mets roster after having a nice spring. And as we mentioned earlier, he's going to be starting in right field for them. He had an 874 OPS in spring, was doinking the ball all over the place, stole a base, didn't strike out a ton. And I think it kind of, more than anything, just speaks to the Mets' urgency right now. I'm not sure I would make this same move, because this is a kid who, again, I think we're basing this off of a handful of games. He really didn't show well in AAA last year. Obviously very toolsy, high pedigree, but curious move by mine.
He's another one who sort of had the glow up last year, got the call to AAA, and it didn't have immediate success. But they're saying, well, fuck it, you're up, boy. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, that's exactly what they said.
Mm-hmm. That was in the press release. I saw it.
All right, that's all I got for league news.
Can I, before we get into the game, though, can we at least talk about the big news of the day in Cardinal Nation, in the fact that Kyle Reese is now writing for MLB.com?
Yeah, what happened?
Obviously,
they listened to the episode that he was on with us.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that was probably it. No, they're looking for different content creators. Josh Jacobs is also going to be writing a weekly piece for MLB.com, and then our old friend and my nemesis, Brendan Schaefer, is going to be covering he's kind of basically like the home beat writer, it sounds like. He's going to be covering the home games. So I guess it takes like a village to replace John Ditton. I don't know how that happened. And then, Will Leach I think is also writing Cardinals once a week. So it's going to be interesting. I think that it feels like they're trying to shake some things up at the official site, and hopefully that means it's going to be less propaganda and more actual interesting things to read.
That would be great. I would like to note that first off, that's great. Congratulations to them. That's super exciting. And obviously I couldn't be more rooting for Kyle. I wonder if we're ever going to get an athletic writer again, but it seems like maybe not.
The idea was, I mean, from what I was given to understand, that they were supposed to be looking for one, but it doesn't feel like they filled a lot of the positions. I know that the Atlanta job was like advertised for. I don't know that it got filled, so it could still be in process. But even, Katie was at least of the indication I think I've seen, and I haven't obviously heard from her, but other people have said there was that indication that there was supposed to be one. In fact, Jeremy Rutherford, I think, posted, the Blues writer at The Athletic, that posted that they are intending to hire one. But yeah, you think if you're going to do that, maybe before the season starts would be a good time.
Anytime would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't imagine there's a talent shortage. There's plenty of people who I think would do it and do well. So
we're right here.
Yeah. All of our written content that everyone reads every day and loves, that we post all the time.
So much great stuff.
We're known. Well, there is Jeff Jones has launched Words About Birds, which is fine. It's fine, but it's basically our name.
It's a better podcast name.
If we had a blog, I think we probably would have called it Words About Birds, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Jeff started that this week. It's a subscription-based thing, but it's
no.
I mean,
not talking about it.
Not on this show,
Hey,
buddy.
Not on this show.
Hey,
okay.
Jeff kicks off every one of my seasons. I'm not going to go and run down my guests everywhere else.
We're the only about birds content that anybody needs. Okay. I didn't know we were going to get
and only
into this.
occasionally it's not even about birds. So, hey,
well, that's part of the appeal. All right.
If you find that appealing.
He's a nice guy. I'm not, but it's funny to me.
We're at war.
Yep.
I'll be sure to let him know.
Yeah. He's like, who? Which I'm almost certain would be his response. Like, no, don't be an owl. All right. Daniel, you have brought the game for us, completely relinquishing me of half of my duties on this show, which again, I'm all for. What have you got for us?
Okay, so most people that follow me on Twitter know that the last few years especially, we do this game every series. It's called the Cardinal 6. We ask 6 questions and a tiebreaker question about the series that is coming up. Rate them, keep track of it throughout the year, all that kind of stuff. Now, obviously, I don't really want to do a whole series with y'all because y'all are coming on my show Friday night, the day after everybody's listening to this, next day. So we are going to do the Cardinal 6 based only on opening day. And I will take your answers. I've already given my answers. I'll tell you what they are as we go through this.
Okay.
And then when y'all come on the show on Friday night, we will go over the answers. So all these questions based on Thursday's game against the Rays.
Yeah. Thursday's game alone.
Right.
Got it.
You can answer the same, obviously, because some of them are very easy, whatever. Don't feel intimidated, Nate, with Ben's answers, because usually Ben's answers are wrong. So,
I've never felt intimidated by Ben once in my life. Thank you. And I intend for that to continue.
All right. Question 1, easy question. Who will win the game? Cardinals or Rays?
I'm just going to lock it in right now. Home opener, baby. Your St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm going. The Libby loves facing those Rays, those pieces of shit that left him in the dust. So I think Libby's going to dominate. Cardinals win. All
right. Also, I should probably point out the question number is the same as the points value, so that's a 1-point question. Our 2-point question: will J.J. Wetherholt have an extra base hit? Oh, I forgot to say, I picked St. Louis to win.
Yeah. Okay. Will JJ have an extra base hit? All right, that's a good one. I'll say no. I think he'll have some good plate appearances, but I'm gonna say no.
I'm gonna say yes, just purely as a points grab. Just trying to separate myself from Nate here.
All right, I put no as well. So, Ben, you're probably in good shape.
Lead off home run.
Right. Okay, number 3. Will any Cardinal have 2 or more hits?
I've been answering first, Hambone. Do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, I am going to go first on this one, Nathan. And I'm going to say yes. Yes, one of them will have 2 hits.
It's just, will they or won't they not? Who?
Yeah. No, it's just a yes or no.
I'll say yes, and I think Mason Wynn is going to get 2 hits.
I was thinking Burley.
Cool.
I'll just put a little cherry. Burley 2 hits off Rasmussen. Let's go.
All right. I put no, so I will be probably completely wrong. All right. Question number 4. How many ABS challenges will both teams combine for?
Okay. Quick clarifying question. Will the winner be closest? Are we Price is Rights rules?
No, this is exact.
Oh, God.
To get the points, you have to be exact.
Oh, exact. Oh.
This one. There are questions where I will have a range. I will tell you when they are, but this one has to be exact.
And it's how many will they do total?
Yes, both teams total challenges.
Just challenges, not wins or loss. Okay.
Right.
It's a fun question. Thinking to our spring training games.
I will let me give you a little bit of a something here that might help.
Okay.
I'm part of the MLB Fan Council. We had a meeting this week about, they had a Zoom call with the guy, people that are in charge of ABS. They say their goal is for each team to have around 4 challenges a game. That's what they're hoping, hoping not to go too much higher or too much lower than that.
Yeah.
That's their range. So maybe that
Okay.
helps.
Well, that is illuminating because I was actually going to guess 4 total. So I will go up a little bit. I think I'll go 6. I think there will be 6 ABS challenges.
I was thinking it would be higher because we were watching Liberatore get that high curve ball. I think he got at least 1 strikeout using the ABS. And I think that is going to be a part of his game. But I also don't want to guess the same number as Nate. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to do right at 4. Let's go dead average or what they're expecting to be average. Give me 4.
I don't want to throw you any bones here, but he was saying 4 per team. So they're actually expecting 8 a game.
Oh, you said 4 per team. I misheard that.
I think that was the implication was 4 per team.
Okay. I'll stick at 4. That's fine. I'm going to go with it. I think that people are going to be weird about it, but I do think Liberatore is going to steal a couple of strikes high in the zone.
Well, there's also a possibility. I thought about 4 too, because they can just get all of them wrong,
right?
They're capped at 4. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is. I have no idea what ABS is going to look like. I'm very excited. This is like one of the most exciting things about this season is this.
I know what it's going to look like, Hambone. So up on the screen, they're going to put a big box, right, and it's going to represent the strike zone.
I feel like we started the show so good.
Eventually, it was going to go off the rails. Yeah, I picked 7.
Okay,
but I also think that there's something to that because Liberatore, he challenged like the very first pitch of his last start in spring training. I think there's going to be some. It's one thing to do it in spring training when games don't matter. I think early on there might be a little more hesitation.
I think people are going to be precious with it this first week or month of it coming out.
All right, number 5. How many strikeouts will the St. Louis bullpen have within 1? So you have a little bit of leeway here. So you pick a number, and if you're within 1 of the actual answer, you will get points.
I see. Okay. Okay. I'm going to say 4.
Okay.
So Libby's going to go like 5, meaning the bullpen's going to have to cover like 4. I'm going to say I'll go 5.
All right. I also went 5. So
I did the same head math, Ben. I'm thinking 4 innings covered from the bullpen. I'm not convinced that the first part of the bullpen will get those strikeouts, but so I'm thinking maybe 6 and 7. There's either 0 or 1, and then maybe Swanson and O'Brien or Romero combined.
Big Pussard guy. I think he's going to go hard.
Right
I know you're a Pussard guy. We all know this. I thought about 5 because then you also get 6 in there,
right. And 4.
We'll see. You get 4, but I get 3. They might all just go out there and ground ball it.
That could happen.
True.
So we all win if it's 4 or 5.
Right.
Okay.
All right. And then number 6, 6-point question. Which Cardinal batter will draw the first walk of the season?
Ooh, there's a good candidate here right out of the gates.
I'll go first since you've been leading the way.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go unconventional because I'm brave and I want that 6 points. Nolan Gorman.
Okay.
Ooh, interesting.
Walk machine in spring at times last year. I think he's going to keep it going. I think he's going to draw a walk.
Where do you think he's batting? Probably 5th, 6th?
It has to be 5th unless Nathan Church has really, really vaulted himself into the heart of the lineup, which I don't think he has.
Yeah. Rasmussen, he's coming out. He's a little shaky. JJ locked in from the beginning. Lead-off walk to start the bottom of the first.
You called it a lead-off home run.
Also, it's a lead-off home run. No. Yeah, I'll go with JJ. It's fun. JJ's gonna draw a walk.
That's what I picked. So
yeah,
boring.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be funny when they have him batting ninth.
And he still does it.
Damn.
All right, tiebreaker question, just in case we all wind up tying. Total time of the game in minutes.
In minutes?
In minutes. It's just the easiest way to.
157 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it closest? Is it?
Yeah, this is tiebreaker. So whoever gets the closest would break the tie.
Okay.
Saying 157.
But it's not Price is Right rules.
No, it could go either way.
Okay.
But it also, it also requires there to actually be a tie. So it may be where it doesn't
very, very
come into
unlikely.
play. Well, these points, it's possible. Usually it comes into play, but we usually have a lot more play.
Yeah. While Ben's thinking, like, if y'all don't participate in this on C70 social media, it's a lot of fun. I don't a ton because I don't get onto the social media stuff, but I think it's super cool, and I know a lot of people have a lot of fun with it. So,
and I will say I do email it to some people. So if you want it sent straight to you when I do it, that's an option as well.
Now you're just begging, Daniel.
No, I'm not talking to you, Nate.
I know. It's awesome.
Try to keep this place classy.
It's a really fun thing that I know a lot of people have some fun with. So,
Ben, you got a number?
Yeah, I was just waiting for that to be done. I'm going to say 143.
You're kidding me.
Is that what you said?
I said 143. Yes.
Okay.
So
all right.
I'll change mine to 147. That'll be
that's
right
insane.
there in the middle of everything. So yeah,
that's pretty funny. You guys have the quick game. You guys are really calling for a real quick game.
Move. They seem to move these days. I mean, there's times. I mean, the pitch clock is good and everything like that, but it feels like a lot of times I sit down, to watch a game and I look up and it's the fifth inning already. Yeah. And that's good to sometimes. Sometimes you kind of wish it lasted a little longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't see the Cardinals stringing together a bunch of long at bats. So that was my thought there.
New look Cardinals. You got JJ, you got Gorman. They're all, their plate approach is locked in.
Oh yeah, there's the picture of plate appearances is
Jordan Walker is also going to hit 2 home runs, and he loves a slow trot.
Oh yeah. All right, you're probably right then.
Well, all right. Well, we will have the thrilling conclusion to this game in about 48 hours when we do this all over again, but over on Daniel's show. So make sure to catch us over there. And that's going to do it for this week's episode, though. So C70, thank you again so much for being here.
Always a pleasure, guys. Thanks a lot.
And we'll be back next week with another episode of regular season baseball talking about birds. And until next week, go Cardinals.
Go Birds.